And I am glad that you guys are here. This is my dear friend, Megan Wubbenhorst. And I will let Megan do some introducing of her business, the setup, who she works with, and all of that. And I just wanted Megan to understand we have our coaching group here. Our group three is writing and selling, and we're doing business planning. Everybody knows about 411s and 135s, and we prospect, we lead generate, we mail out, all that stuff. We also have a few people that are on here as well that I just believe need to be in group three, at least by the fourth quarter this year. And so they're also here. And so this is your time to ask questions. It's a small group, like I said, but Megan is going to bring it. So I'm going to just use the ladies' room for a second. Megan, go ahead and just share who you are, what you've done, and just open up to get some warmth going on.
Great. Hi, guys. I'm really excited to be here. I adore Mary Beth. So, anytime she's like, please teach, I'm here. I guess I will introduce myself. I co-run a team with my husband. He is our rainmaker. I am the president, COO of our company. We currently have 6 sales agents other than my husband. We have a director of operations, Grace, who is wonderful. She's been with us since our first year in business. We're in year 4. We have a transaction coordinator, Andrea, and we have a full-time media director who does all our listing photos, headshots, social media things. And then we have a full-time ISA as well. That's kind of what our team looks like. We are in year 4, started the business actually in New York City. That's where I started. Sorry if you can hear my dog barking too. My husband's taking care of it. I started in New York City doing rentals. I am a trained professional dancer, danced professionally for 15 years, and then was in New York City and was home from tour and needed something to do. So I started selling real estate because I was helping all my friends go on Craigslist at the time. This was back in like 2011, 2012. And so I did real estate in New York City, just rentals for about 3 years. Then my husband and I moved to New Jersey, started our real estate team here. And year 1, we did about 8 million, just me and him. And then we brought on our full-time admin that first year, a little earlier than we probably should have, but brought her on anyway. Year 2, we were at 15 million. Last year, we closed 24.9 million. And this year we're trending for 40 million, which is awesome. So that's kind of where we started. We've been fast growing. We're a lot of failing forward, a lot of it. And I think the thing that kind of makes my role really important, I fully transitioned out of production this past year. I had our first daughter in November. So she is 7 months old now, and I work 3 days a week in the business currently. But we transitioned me fully out of production in, I guess, May of last year, because we knew I was going to need some time off. My husband and I both took November and December full-time off. Our business did not suffer because we had set it up that way. And I feel like the thing that I do really well is systems, processes, and efficiency. I'm all about efficiency because I like my free time and I like spending time with my family. And I like to say that our job as realtors is setting expectations and communication. But we have nothing without setting expectations. So once we set the expectations with our agents, with our clients, then we have the freedom to kind of make our lives more efficient and fill in the things that we like. So I guess that's kind of like a quick overview of who I am.
And I mean, you also, so you do buy and flip houses and buy and hold houses.
Yes, we started as real estate investors, and we currently, I think we have 7 properties currently. We actually bought 5 houses last year during COVID, which was not recommended. But we found some really great deals last year during the pandemic and really capitalized on it. We work a lot with investors. The reason I like investors is they don't buy a home every 7 years. They buy 5 to 7 every year. So a lot of repeat business. So we love those. We live in a 2-family. I'm in my 2-family right now. And we own a property management company. And that's kind of, we love investment property. I think that's the key to generational wealth. And
the property management company is a residual effect of
Yeah.
buying real estate and being in real estate. That was not existing a year
No.
and a half ago.
No,
Mhm.
we started that with our director of operations, actually, Grace. Her and her husband, we own a company with them that we flip homes. We usually flip between 3 and 5 a year. Last year that didn't happen. This year we are on our second flip. We should close next week on it, and then it should be on the market in about 3 weeks. So a little slower going this year, just with no foreclosures. But yeah, I kind of feel like we've golden handcuffed our director of operations because we own companies with her. Yeah, so we're trying to really add value to our staff so that they stay with us forever. So owning property with your team is key there. So eventually the REIT is coming. That's our next year goal. So yeah.
Real estate REIT. Okay, so time out. Just stop for 1 second because I want to hear some ahas. And just, I mean, she's going to go. She's got material for us. You're going to get lots of value, but give a little bit of who you are so that she also knows. Give me an aha or something that she said that resonates, that you're like, wow, I want to know more about that, or that's inspiring or something.
Well, I 100% resonate with the working 3 days a week, wanting to be with your kids kind of thing. Like that's the kind of building business I would like to build eventually. Obviously, I'm in my first year and right now it's, it's all the time. But that's very much like what I'm working towards. And I'm really excited to hear how you did it. And I think we met on email. I'm a dancer too, so.
That's right.
It's a pretty natural transition, that dancer to realtor. I gotta tell you, it's
Totally.
yeah, because it's performance. I mean, you go on a listing appointment, you put your makeup on, you're in performance mode. Yeah. So I get it.
Give me two more. Michelle, Kathy, Nicole, Lance, Seth, Nicole, Shayna.
I've got something. And everyone on the call really needs to listen to this about having your hand in multiple different businesses, because that's the key to longevity and building your business out. I do a couple of the same things with the property management and working with investors, and just listen to how she's done this, because this is what's going to set you apart from everybody else in the business.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Awesome. All right. So Meg, go ahead. Does anybody else have anything else to say? Going once, going twice. All right, Meg, go for it. Or Lance, were you going to say something, or you just you're shuffling?
No, I just want to I came in late, so I missed a lot, but I'm listening. Thank you.
So basically Megan started in her first year and her and husband did about 8 million, and they did about, what was it, 25? And then we're on our way to 40 million now. Okay.
Wow. Okay. I'm
She owned-
definitely listening.
Yeah, they bought 3 to 5 homes a year. Last year they bought 5, and they own 7. And they just had their first baby, and they're still in their 30s.
Yeah, I'm 32.
Yeah, amen. All right, so let's go. Let's share what you got.
I guess so. Mary Beth and I were talking, and she was really talking about being efficient in your business now. So I guess I'm assuming production level, like you guys are all you have pendings, you're working on getting more pendings. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, great. So I guess since the thing that I feel like I'm really good at is the efficiency part. I kind of want to just go through some things that we've learned over the last couple years to really make our business efficient and to allow me that 3-day-a-week schedule. And for full disclosure, my husband only works 4.5 days, and they're kind of scattered. We're working on pulling him fully out of production by the end of next year. That is the goal. I don't totally want a 7th level team, but I do want our time out so that we can focus on other business ventures.
Businesses. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Because multiple streams of income is the way that it's going to go. So how are you guys tracking your pendings currently? Where do you track them? Do you have some sort of system around that? What is it all just in your head? What are you guys using?
I have mine through Command.
Okay.
Command.
Great.
I use Monday.com.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard of that.
I use a whiteboard.
I did too for 3 years.
Too, but
Megan, if you can like just zone in on one, I would say Michelle is the one that this message is really going to be perfect for, as well as everybody else, but for sure.
Okay, so I love Command. That is a perfect tool to keep track of all of your pendings for the single agent or for the agent with the admin. That is a perfect system. Full disclosure, my team is not fully in Command yet because we haven't quite made it work for our team. The way that I currently track our systems is through Airtable. I don't know if any of you have heard of Airtable.
Yes.
I am an Excel nerd. I love Excel. Google Sheets is like kind of okay, but Airtable is where it's at. I'm telling you. We track everything. When I say everything, I mean vendors. I know every single home inspector we've used for the last 2 years. I know every title company, every mortgage, every home insurance company, co-op agent, you name it, we know what it is. And you need to keep track of those sort of things because at the end of the year, you can then go to your vendors and be like, hey, can you commit to giving me 2 to 3 referrals in this next first quarter? Because I gave you 8 transactions last year. Like use that as your leverage piece. And that's why I say the tracking is so important because once you have all those things, now you're working on multiple lead sources because I know my home inspector is going to give me 2 to 3 deals a year because we give him a ton of business. I also know that my title company that we use is going to give me some business every year. My attorney, like everybody, even the septic inspectors, they love us, you know? So keep track of all your vendors. Those are going to be really important. I love that. The other thing that we do with the tracking, which people probably don't do, is the co-op agent. How many of you have people in your downline? Ooh, okay, got a couple. We have been able to grow our downline by having a system around closing and keeping track of the co-op agent. So we know a deal closes, then we automatically send out a handwritten note. It's literally pre-written. My admin just handwrites them. They say the same thing. So great working with you on 123 Main Street, blah, blah, blah. We're looking forward to working with you in the future. We send it in a red envelope with our return label that says Keller Williams on it. And if it was a great transaction, they get an MREA book. They get the red book. So figure out whatever that system is. And that's why I say keep track of those things because those co-op agents, if they were good to work with, now go into your database. They go into Command, they go on a drip, then we start touching them and now you're building a downline. That is how you're going to get other streams of income in this business.
And I remember you getting like a letter from another brokerage when you guys closed on something. I remember Kurt being like, look at this. We should totally do this. Like, okay. And there you go. Now you got a system with it.
And that's what we do. And we have other systems that we've built around referrals. You know, it's New Jersey. We don't get a whole lot of referrals inbound. We do send a lot of referrals out. We've gotten the occasional inbound referral, which has been kind of entertaining. So we had to make a system around that, but we send a little gift. I think it's like a $15 Starbucks gift card that we send out with that. But the handwritten note is key. You don't necessarily have to write it. You can have like your admin or your high school student that you leverage to do some minor work for you. I love the high school kids and the college kids. We love them.
And interns, you had interns working for you.
Yes. So which he actually just became a junior agent. He has graduated from showing assistant and sign runner to junior agent and is now prospecting better than some of our full-time agents. And he's 21. His first circle prospecting call, he got a $900,000 buyer seller lead, and he has an appointment with them, I think this week. So yeah, crazy. And he started off as a sign runner at 19 with us, and then we've kind of leveraged him up, got his license, and now he's graduated college and full-time working with us. So don't underestimate the high school, college kids. Leverage there is going to be very helpful in growing your business. The next thing I want to talk about is automation. I know people have like a lot of opinions around automation, but there are some things that you need to automate in order to keep your business moving. So you know how that roller coaster happens where we're like, oh, we got a whole bunch under contract because we've been prospecting like crazy. And then it kind of does this because we're focusing on the pendings. Then you move back up because now all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I have no more business. So now we go back to prospecting. To avoid that roller coaster, automate your stuff. You should not be spending time. Honestly, you really shouldn't be spending time looking for homes on GSMLS or NJMLS and sending them to clients. That should be automated through command, through your website, sent out to your clients. Set the expectation with your client that they're going to find the property. Like when we sit with a buyer's consult, what our whole job is setting expectations. We set expectations around communication with them. We set expectations around how the search is going to go. And we flat tell them, most buyers are going to find their own home. Long gone are the days of the big agent books and we're driving you around. Like that doesn't exist anymore. There are very few pocket kind of listings like that. They're going to find the listing before you do because they're online only looking for their home while you're searching for 10 other clients. So automate those searches and let them know, send us the properties, we'll schedule them and we're going to group together 4 or 5. We're not going to go see one at a time. It's not efficient. It doesn't make any sense for you to do that. It's a waste of your time. The other waste of your time is when we're talking about like one-off things, don't go meet someone to pick up a radon canister. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Your time is worth way more money than that $10 an hour gig that you're going to pay that high school student to go do, or you're going to pay an agent in your office $25 if they need a lockbox. Like there's things that you can do that you can leverage out that $25 is worth you not driving an hour there and an hour back. Does that make sense? The other automation things that I would set up is social media posts. I know social media is like a big hot topic. Everyone wants to talk about social media. That is a whole nother class. I know I've spoken to Michelle a decent amount about social stuff. I would automate that. I usually set aside an hour and a half to 2 hours at the beginning of the week to automate the post for the entire week. I use Planoly. Here, I'll put it in the chat. But I use Planoly to schedule all of my social media. Here, this is Planoly. You can do the free version or there's a paid version. It's totally up to you, but allocate time to do that. And then if you're going to go the social media route for lead gen, we do close about 10% of our transactions are from social media. So that's a good chunk. I mean, that's somewhere between 8 and 10 transactions a year that we close off social media, all just because it's consistency. So I do the like 5-5-5 rule. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. 5 DMs, 5 likes and 5 comments. And if you do that around the time that you post, then the algorithm is tricked and blah, blah, blah. And so you'll end up with a lot more engagement. So social media, pre-make social media things in designs. There is no better like social media creator for your life of listing posts than designs. Use designs. And I would say like, basically what happens is I call them trigger effects. So when a home goes under contract, it triggers someone in my team to make that under contract post. And then it goes into a file that the whole team has access to on Google Drive that they can download and they can post on their own social media. But it's a trigger event. So if something goes under contract, what do you do then? How can you automate those steps? We call that the workflow. Have you guys heard that term? Like your contract to close workflow? Yeah. So if you guys don't have a workflow and you have things under contract, please spend the time and make your workflow. If you are trying to build a business that if you're trying to get to where you're only working 2 to 3 days a week and you have leverage and all of those things, build your workflow because that is what you're going to hand to your admin or to your transaction coordinator as these are all the things that I do, contract to close. Make that because then you can figure out what can I automate within this and what can I not? Because you can automate emails, which we do all the time. Our clients don't realize that we automate a lot of emails. Our weekly email to our clients that are under contract is automated. Gmail has that ability to where you can schedule emails. My director of ops schedules emails to the team. Hey, put in your numbers. So every Monday it goes out at 8:15 in the morning before our script practice at 8:30. The email goes out like clockwork because it's scheduled. So automate anything that you can just to avoid you sitting at a computer and like doing that.
Okay, so time out. So Dan, you have a question? Because you'll see him as he's the disco phone, but Dan.
Yeah. Disco's got a question real fast. You don't have to go too into it, but can you just run over briefly the 5 likes and tricking the algorithms again? Real fast, Megan.
The 5-5-5.
This the 555 rule. I don't actually know where I heard this, but if you do, okay, so if I'm gonna post at 9 a.m., then at 8:30 in the morning, you want to do 5 likes, 5 comments, and 5 direct messages to someone, multiple people on the social media page. I would say specifically Instagram. I want to preface that with specifically Instagram because we don't see a lot of traction from Facebook. I call Facebook like your front yard drive-by. Like people just kind of like gloss over it. Instagram's your backyard barbecue. That's where everyone's coming to hang out. They see who you are. They get to know you. That's really what Instagram is for. And that's where you're going to get the most engagement. But if you do that, it's going to show the 555 before you post. It's going to show Instagram that you're active on the app. And Instagram will reward those who are more active on the app. So
I see. Okay.
before, then it's going to bump it much higher than.
I got it. Thank you so much. That's cool. Thanks.
Okay, and the other thing is the workflow. So how would you, I mean, I would just think that you all have a workflow, you just don't even realize it. You haven't maybe systemized it. And actually inside of this book, and I was just looking at it, it's on page like 244 in the red book, is systems documentation model, which is how you would actually start to document what you do and create your system. Because you ultimately have a system, it's just not documented.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to recreate it every time, but you're probably doing the same thing that you did last time, and maybe you missed a step because it's not documented. So is there a way that you started? Because I do feel like you just started writing it, but
Yeah.
encourage them.
Yeah, we started writing it down because I was trying to automate it. I was trying to figure out how I can pull myself out of the process. Because I was realizing that Kurt and I were talking to clients like too much, way too much. They didn't need to be asking us a million questions like that. So what we started to do was figure out, okay, if we group text all the decision makers in one, then now I'm not repeating myself 3 times to the wife and then to the husband and then to the mom. Like just all the decision makers, one group text, and set that expectation up front. Hey, I'm going to group text everybody, and that's how you're going to get a majority of your information from me, because I'm on the phone a lot, I'm on the go a lot. Text is just much easier for me. Obviously, if you have an elderly client that is not an option, you make the phone call, you adjust. But what can you kind of automate and or pull yourself off the phone? Because it just takes up time. Because if they're on the phone, then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, my mom's right here. She also has this question. It's just like, you're on the phone forever.
Well, you're talking about efficiency, right? And we do know that you pick up that one call and it's 15 minutes. It's not 2 minutes. And now you're into something different and you lost a whole hour.
Yes. You don't want to sacrifice client service. You still need to give spectacular customer service. But there is a way to do that without the client feeling like they're getting lesser service. So we set the expectation that our under contracts will get an email on Wednesdays, every Wednesday with an update, and they will get a phone call from us on Wednesdays with an update. That Wednesday email is very generic, unless there's something that like has just happened where we're like, all right, inspections were completed, we're now moving on. Or really the generic email is not much going on this week, like especially with the sellers, if we're just kind of waiting, we're like, oh, home inspections are scheduled for this date. We'll keep you updated. If there's anything you need from us, please let us know. Kurt calls, it's a 2-minute conversation, and 9 times out of 10, they don't even pick up because they know they just got the email. They don't need to answer the phone. He's able to talk to his clients once a week when they're under contract, which now frees him up and the rest of our agents up to go and prospect, which is their way of keeping their business steady instead of doing this. Because we got really caught our first year, and I feel like we probably could have done more business than we did because we just couldn't figure out how to pull ourselves out of the under contract part. Because that's the time suck. That is the time suck. It's the going to the septic inspection, going to pick up the radon, blah, blah, blah. Leverage those things, because $25 to an agent in your office who is looking for work and looking to make some quick cash is well worth your time. Like just have them run and pick up the radon. I mean, you don't need to be doing that kind of stuff because it's just not a dollar activity for you.
Well, I mean, you don't need to be doing that stuff if you're replacing that time with dollar productive activities.
Yeah, that's key. You have to replace it. You have to replace it. But I guess back to the workflow, like just write out everything that you do from contract to close for a buyer and for a seller, and also do rentals. I don't know if you guys do a lot of rentals. They're quick, easy to do it. They're great to supplement in between closings. And then just write down what those things are. And then do you guys have a TC program over there?
Every single office has a transaction coordinator. We do have shared services. I would just suggest that you just find the right TC for you. I have been using somebody that was in a different market center, and she's our girl. So anytime we have something, we just send over the paper, the stuff to write up, and she writes the offer up in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's another thing that we leveraged out pretty quickly was offer writing. We trained an agent in our office who she wasn't really doing a whole lot. She was mostly doing showing agent stuff. Like she was just running around showing homes for other people. She wasn't really able to cultivate her own business. And so we trained her to write offers for our team. And so she is on call 24/7 basically to write offers, and we pay her per offer.
How much do you pay per offer?
We pay her $100 an offer.
Okay, $100 an offer that goes through, or every time you're writing up an offer?
When she writes it. Yep. Because it's only in an emergency situation, because during the day, our admin is on call until 6 o'clock. So it's really
Okay.
like 9 period. So if you've got an emergency situation, we have someone there just in case. My goal eventually is to outsource that to like a VA or something like that. But
Yeah.
right now it's not breaking the bank. So we're good. Yeah, the other thing, do you guys have a P&L? Please tell me yes. No profit loss statements. Do you guys know how much money you're spending on gas, on lead gen? Yeah,
Well,
some head nods. That's good.
I track expenses related to a listing or a sale, a buyer sale, but I don't track any of the other stuff. So
You need to know how much money you are making or not making. You will be shocked at how much you're not making, because right now we're talking about leveraging out things which cost money. So if you don't actually know how much money you're taking home from a listing, like I know exactly to the dollar how much it's going to cost me for a listing, and I know I was paying way too much money in photos and video and Matterport, so we brought that in-house. Because if we do 12 listings a quarter, which we do, then it's cheaper for me to have that in-house person for 40 hours a week than for me to pay someone per listing. So figure out what that ROI is. Is it cheaper for me to, like, at what point is it more expensive to pay the transaction coordinator that I'm outsourcing per month? Is it cheaper for me to bring it in-house and actually hire somebody? I know right now that number for me is 6 transactions a month closed with that TC for 3 months consecutively. Now I got to bring it in-house because it's actually cheaper for me to pay a human in my office than the girl in Connecticut. Even though she's awesome and I love her, it's much, much better for me to pay it in-house. And so I know what that ROI is. I can track it. So that goes back to tracking. We got to track every dollar, hold every dollar accountable, because what can end up happening, and this ended up happening to us our second year, we started leveraging out too many things. And then we realized at the end, we were not as profitable as we could have been had we just hired like a person in that place. So that's what I'm saying. Make sure you have, like, you're calculating your dollars.
And to the point that some of our businesses are brand new. Some of our businesses are 2 and 3 years old on this call, but some of them are brand new. So they haven't even gone through the tax season of like, wait, I have to track all of what. Over the next couple of weeks into August, we're going to be doing a mid-year business planning clinic, and we are going to be going into all of the pillars of all of the models. Yeah. So we'll touch on that again. But Megan, one of my concerns, and I think you and Kurt are excellent at this, as young people, I was very impressed by how you run your household income P&L. So if you don't know what, I mean, this is just behavior, right? If we don't have the habit of tracking even our household ins and outs and expenses, it's going to be a little challenging to do it in the business one. So this is like a task for both aspects of your life. I am challenging you to really get clear on what your household budget is and what your business budget is. And I'm here to help you with that. The other thing, what Megan just said is rentals, buyers, sellers. I'd love to see you do a workflow and it's each individual personal, and then share it with me so that I can take a look at it and we can see if we're missing some things. But go ahead, sorry.
No, I love that. One thing on the business and the personal like budgeting. So I started creating a business and personal one sheet. I use RE Profit for my my business financial tracking. They go based off the MREA.
That's right.
Like it's awesome. I love it. We've been using that for like 4 or 5 months now for the business. I don't recommend that you do that until you probably have a business that maybe you have one employee. I don't think you need it until then. I think you can do it on Excel or by hand otherwise, but I'll put that in the chat just so you.
I got you.
Oh, perfect. But I use RE Profit for that. But what I started to do is make a one-sheeter for my husband. He doesn't really do well with money.
Very,
He's
very
great.
high G, very high I.
Yeah, he's great at making it, but yeah, I got to allocate it and stuff. So I run our business and our household finances and all of our multiple businesses, finances and properties finances. It's a lot. But what I started doing is a one sheet. So what it does is I have our budget and I have where we're at for the month. And it's just a one sheet of like, we're in the green, red for each category. And I do that once a week. So I do on Mondays, I do our business one, and he and I go over it. We do the same thing on Fridays for our personal, and we go over it. It's like just enough information that he knows what's going on, but it's not too much information where he gets that glazed look, you know? So I would highly recommend that, especially if you're trying to make this like your full-time career job, get your family involved. And sit down with your significant other, your kids, go through your budget with them and be like, look, this is where I'm at. Like, where do you think I can cut some expenses? Like, we make that like a fun thing. Like, how can I cut 10% of our expenses this week?
Mm-hmm.
We've really been doing that, especially during pandemic. We really tried to like just cut and cut and cut. But yeah, make it like a fun family thing, as fun as like finances can be.
Yeah. Well, what was something that you did cut that made a huge difference in your income? I mean, in your net.
Hiring the media director.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that I'm telling you, because I think, what do we pay him? He's $20 an hour is what we're paying him. He's a photographer. He does wedding photography, blah, 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 and did some real estate photography. Our photographer moved to Arizona. So it kind of forced our hand in doing this because we were trying to bring her on staff and then she moved. So we found this guy who was like, oh, I can do that. And he is great at real estate photography, videography. We bought the camera, which the camera and lens cost me about $4,000 up front. But his salary for the year is significantly less because in one day for $20 an hour, he shot 5 listings for me last week. Mm-hmm. And those 5 listings, I know for photo, video, and Matterport would have cost me $1,000 a piece. And I didn't even pay him that for the month. So that was the biggest thing that we did. We brought it in-house. And he takes our headshots for our team. He's on call for anything. One of our agents was like, oh, I'm gonna go do a drive-through my hometown. Can you come and film me? And he's throwing it up on social media. Like, that's
awesome.
Yeah.
Getting some B-roll.
Yeah, exactly. So that
Ariane, do you have a question?
So I think you already answered it. You track all your streams of incomes through Profit?
No, just the business.
Or just the real estate?
Just the real estate sales business, just that.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually use Airtable for our personal expenses, our property expenses, our renovation expenses, and so on. Airtable.
Only because I have multiple business that I'm attempting to keep track of.
Yeah, honestly, we really liked Airtable. It seemed because I can keep a ledger of everything and I can assign the project, especially if you're running a bunch of things out of one account, which, we run a bunch of things out of one property management account. Then it's easier to kind of move things around.
Yeah, we launched the office that Megan is in, the prosperity office. We launched that entire office basically off Airtable. Yeah, Allison had Airtable, and then everybody that had their hands on setting up the computer system, connecting to KWRI, everything, all the agents transferring their listings. So I am a big fan of Airtable.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Anybody else have something you want to add, something you want to ask? Just want to make sure everybody getting value. Thumbs up. Okay, you're quiet. You're really quiet.
What questions do you guys have? I'm trying to like give you as much info as I think will be helpful, but what do you need? What's the challenge that you're having?
Lance, you're muted. Just go ahead and unmute.
Hey, Megan. So when you were like from your first year to your second year, were you able to, I guess you put systems in place? So, like, were you out there running everything yourself, or did you have people helping you? Did you have buyer's agents? Were you making those calls? Were you, cold calling for 3-4 hours a day? What did it look like?
So year one, I think we got by on charisma, which is not awesome. Year two, we hit a ceiling. We realized that we can go no further on charisma than about 10 million. So we started making cold calls. I'm actually the better cold caller of my husband and I just don't really enjoy it. So I tried to replace myself as fast as humanly possible. We hired the ISA. So just because it's not something that I enjoy, and I was trying to get more on the back end because I knew we were trying to have a family and all those things. But there is a ceiling that you're going to hit on Sphere. We love Sphere. We're all about our Sphere. I think still about 60% of our transactions are Sphere. And they're not, I don't want to say our business is repeat and referral. It's not, it's Sphere. It's literally, we find our raving fans and then they refer us out to people. And a lot of them are not clients, but my husband religiously follows DTD2. We both did for the entire second year. And I was making outbound calls to people that had opted in on our website, and circle prospecting calls around open houses. And that was really how we built the business past that 10 million mark, because it's very hard to break through that 10 million ceiling on Sphere and charisma. Like, you're only going to get so far until you start mastering those scripts. And that's where we're at right now. We hit another ceiling at 25. Like, we're not going to get past that until our team is now making those outbound calls. So we've moved our business from a, repeat referral to a strictly prospecting based team.
So when you say your team, so now do you have specific buyer's agents, or are those guys also calling out to get listings?
Everyone's calling out. So we have one ISA in-house. She sets a minimum of 2 appointments a day.
Is it still okay?
Yeah, it's okay. She's crushing it. She sets a minimum of 2 appointments a day. That is her rule, 5 days a week. So we have minimum 10 appointments a week. Our agents are not allowed to be in lead flow from our ISA until they are producing 50 to 60% of their own business. I am not here to provide 100% of your business. They have to make the outbound calls. So when we start seeing the numbers sway in the point of my ISA setting all of their calls, or their last 4 transactions are all set by my ISA, you're out of lead flow until you put 4 of your own up. We have very strict rules on that, because I can't have them sucking all of my ISA's leads and not producing their own. So we switched it. Yeah.
So you don't go on the listing appointments yourself from your ISA, you give it to your team?
Yes. There's a few caveats. My husband goes on very specific ones, if that makes sense. But we call them love matches. We have very different like skill sets and personalities and blah, blah, blah. So if we have a single mom who really wants a female agent, we have that. If we've got someone who, wants an investor heavy agent, we have that. Like, we kind of have people that are going to be a good fit. And
you're matchmaking.
It's matchmaking. But if it's not a good fit, we'll just transition it right over. We've done that before, where they went on a listing appointment with one agent, didn't click. So our ISA was able to recapture the lead and dump it to another agent on the team. I mean,
at what point did you realize you needed a team when you first started 4 years ago? Like, at what point did you realize, hey, you know what? Let me get some people. And did you do a team right away, or did you work with people at first to see if it would work out?
So we hired Grace, our director of operations, our first year, way before we should have. She's the best. I don't even know how to explain it. We lucked out with her, and she's been with us from the beginning. We were struggling to pay her salary, like struggling, because we took it on a little too soon, but she took so much off of our plate that we were able to double our business. So that made sense. And then our hand was kind of forced. We had a friend come to us and say, hey, I'm getting my real estate license, and he's so talented. We couldn't let him go. Like, because I know he's going to do 10 million on his own. I'd rather him do 10 million with me. So Alex, yeah.
You said a baby, so that.
He did, yeah. So we brought Alex on. He is a full-time pastor and part-time closed 5.5 million last year. Part-time, like full part-time hours. I mean, he works 9 to 5. So, and on Sundays. So he did that. And then we had a second agent do the same thing to us. He has closed 9 transactions this year already part-time and should be quitting her job in the next month, which we're really pumped about. So now she's going full-time. So that we didn't make the choice. We were forced, I think. That kind of happens, like attracts like, and you start to get people that are like kind of begging to work with you in some capacity. And we just lucked out that we did good, because I will tell you, we made every mistake in the book. We didn't KPA any of them. We didn't go through the process. We did none of those things, and we just got lucky. Are you
giving them leads? Are you feeding them leads as well?
We initially were not. That's why I'm like, I don't know how we ended up, because we had no value proposition other than like nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Nothing. We had no value proposition.
Well, you had a vision, and you had a work ethic. And honestly, that's what, when I see why did John and Vanessa and then Alex and even Grace and her husband, one thing is like attracts likes. They're a very solid couple. And so they also attracted other solid couples that were like, hey, I want to do what you're doing. And they're involved in their church. And so some people came from their church. But what I saw in Megan and Kurt was they were going to dig. They were going to stay at the office as late as they needed to. They were going to plug in. They were going to show up at every class that I was having, or a guest speaker was coming in. When Gene Rivers was around, Kurt was the first person to raise his hand to go drive him and pick him up. And they were just plugged in, as Kathy and I were talking about earlier. They were so plugged in that they benefited from being in the environment. And then it attracted these people, and then they just bought in because they're like, well, I see what they're doing. I could have a little bit of what they're doing if I get in their world.
Sure.
Yeah, that's literally what happened. And now we understand where we went wrong, because we had no value proposition other than our admin, who just happened to be the best human. I mean, she's great. Now we have full value proposition. We have a one sheet, we have contracts, like we have all the things. We've not hired a single person. We haven't KPA'd and gone through the entire process. I've taken career visioning multiple times. We're plugged in. Kurt's on the ALC, I'm on staff. Like we plugged in, because the only way that I knew I was going to be able to build a big business was to be around other people with big businesses. So that's kind of the goal. We love the Loken Group. I don't know if any of you follow them on social media or like follow what they do.
Do you guys know the Loken Group? Loken.
Lance Loken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, Lance and Karina. We follow what they're doing, and they actually put their documents on Google Drive, available to anyone who wants it. I will find the link for that. Can you find the link for Loken's? I'll get that link and send it out so you guys can download. They have everything you could possibly want, from 411s, from job descriptions, 30, 60, 90s for director of operations, for admins. I mean, it's crazy the amount that they give back to the industry. And we're trying to go along their exponential growth pattern. We're not quite there, but
Sure.
That's kind of that's our vision, is really that group.
And how many transactions did they do last year?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I think it was 2,500.
2,500, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome husband and wife team, young also. Okay, so while we are getting there though, I just heard you say before, DTD2, website leads, and circle prospecting. So that's what you did to get yourself to be able to do this.
Mhm.
And when you had no money, DTD2, everybody knows DTD2? Yes. Because you get it, 2 letters a week, 1 text letter. What did that sound like, Meg? Like, was that all calls? Was it hard to do? How did you?
Not hard to do. Like I said, I did most of the circle prospecting outbound cold calls.
Okay.
Kurt did all the DTD too. He has a huge network of people. I'm not from New Jersey, so it's a little bit harder for me. And most people wanted to talk to my husband anyway, which is kind of lame. But it's a reality. But I did a lot of social media DMing and, kind of that sort of a thing. But then my main thing was outbound calling. It's long-term nurtures. So I would get frustrated because he would like lock down a listing appointment in like 3 calls. And I'm like, come on, and it would take me 10 to 15 calls, follow up for 3 months. And then I finally got the appointment, but it was a little frustrating, but that's how we did it. And we each only really did about an hour a day. So had it been one person, I think 2 hours a day, you would have had the same results.
Consistency.
But, I mean, the other thing too, we quit our other jobs cold turkey and went into real estate. Like there was 0 income coming into my household because both of us quit both of our jobs the same week. And Kurt sold his business. I quit my job and we went into real estate. There is no better motivator than being broke. So, I mean, it's just the reality. If you know that you're not going to pay your mortgage in the next 30 days, unless you close something, you're going to close something. Like you're going to find that cash buyer, you will close it. So we talk a lot about motivation on the team. We call it their mo. Like, what is your mo? Is your mo good or is your mo not good? If you have a full-time job that is providing your income, or you don't have to work, maybe you have a spouse who provides, enough to pay your bills. How good's your mo? Do you have to close a house? Do you not? I mean, we've been having this conversation a lot with our team because one of our agents, his goal was 24 units this year and he closed 10. And then at our quarterly meeting, we were like, what's happening? He was like, oh yeah, I really only needed 10 to pay my bills. And we're like, what? So his mo was bad. We didn't uncover that until now. And now we've reestablished, okay, wait a second. But in order to stay on the team, you have to now close the rest of those units. You have to set kind of guidelines for yourself and boundaries and be like, look, I'm going to do this or not. I mean, that's sort of how we did it. It was sink or swim, literally. So that's what we talk about a lot with our team, is just motivation and how committed you are. And do you treat it like a full-time job, or are you really kind of working part-time hours?
And in your circle prospecting, were they circle prospecting around your specific closings? Was it the office specific closings, neighborhoods? I mean, it was anything, right?
Yeah, we did a lot of focusing on absentee owners of multifamilies. A lot of that.
And how do we identify that, Megan?
We did that through Cole Realty resource. We got those there. And Mojo, we used Mojo a decent amount.
Okay, so we do have Cole Realty, but I'm saying, how did you identify that those were the absentee owners? Through the search criteria of Cole?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And you can do that now on Remind too. You can find out who the absentee
Yep.
are. Yeah, did a lot of that because we were trying to buy multifamilies, always are trying to buy them. And then we like the investors. It's all numbers based. There's no emotion attached. So much easier.
To that point is absentee owners, period. She was specifically going after multis probably to pick them up for herself, but absentee owners, period, are great because a lot of times it's just this girl or that girl who might have bought their first house and then they go off and get married and then they have a rental property in some town 45 minutes from them that they're not keeping care of, and they really don't care, and they would probably rather just sell it.
Yeah, especially in this market. We had a lot of people with renters that they inherited the house, whatever. There's a renter in there and they're not collecting top dollar. So I see Michelle asked, what was the message to absentee owners? It's pretty easy to tell from a property if it's like a distressed or if you know that they're paying under market value on rents. So we would go from the avenue of like, hey, did you know that for your 2-bed in Butler that you could be actually getting about $1,600 a month in rent? What are you currently getting? Like we would try to go that route because usually pain point for multifamilies is money. Everyone wants more money. And a lot of times they just haven't raised the rent for years. So we would go at it that route. And we would offer to give them, you know, we'll tour the property and give you like a valuation on it and blah, blah, blah. But, and then we'd also go into, oh, if you want us to manage it, we can, like, we had multiple kind of ways of doing that.
Yeah. Offer them value, right?
Yeah. Someone told me you have to give someone, I think it's 4 or 5 things of value before you can expect anything in return. So we just hand out free stuff like crazy, especially to investors.
And so, and Dan, I'll get you in a second, making enough deposits in order to take a withdrawal. And I say that all the time, you got to make enough deposits with people, period. Not even just clients, but it does serve for your clients as well. Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, on that note, Megan, I am definitely interested in identifying properties that are either absentee or in dilapidated condition, more towards investors, or I'm getting feedback, sorry. But I'm having trouble finding contact information for these people. I mean, these places are pretty close to me, so I've gone to some doors and knocked, but I don't know how to get their information and actually call them, or say if someone's out of town, do you have any information on, is that the Mojo and was it Cold Realty you said?
Yeah.
Sources?
Also, if you're comfortable, talk to the tenant. Ask them.
But these are more homes right now. Yeah, I don't know any multifamilies necessarily.
Cole Realty and Mojo are going to be your best bet, especially for circle prospecting.
Okay. You said Cole, K-O-L-E?
C-O-L-E, Cole.
Okay, thank you so much.
The office definitely has it. I know they do.
We have it. We have it in the coaching program. I bought us a membership as well. Some of our agents also have individual memberships, but we have it so we can get on a one-on-one and we could just identify some stuff and pull you a report.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You guys have to do the thinking though. It's like, okay, well, I want this town, I want these towns, I want multifamilies, I want single. You got to tell me, and then we can go ahead and pull your report.
Yeah, you just want to be a resource for them, offer value, and and just make it part of your day, because I don't know, we specifically target investors just because we have a lot to offer them. We have an incentive that will buy their house right now. That is actually a good point. If you guys have ever owned a multifamily, flipped a home, go and get a line of credit because you qualify. If you have ever rented out a single family home that you own or any sort of thing like that, go and get yourself a line of credit, because these people that have your home sold guarantee, they're buying it on a line of credit. That's what they're doing. Get yourself a line of credit, because it will be very helpful, because it happens all the time where you get that probate call, you get, grandma died, we have to sell the estate. And it actually would be better for you to buy that house and flip it yourself, or buy it and sell it to somebody else at a better price because they just want to get rid of it. Have the option. So we have the option because we've got the line of credit. We can just buy it from them right then. We can set them up with an off-market investor to buy it, or we can sell it traditionally. Like you give them some.
Or you can hold it and keep it, which is what you do a lot.
We do a lot of that.
I have a question. Sorry. What if you don't own, like I live with my mom, she has a 2-family house. What if, obviously it's not under my name. If you're not in the position that you own a piece of property, what would you advise me to do?
You don't have the option of getting a line of credit.
Yeah.
I'm aware, until you have done some sort of real estate investment or.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll tell you that your answer is, Megan. What kind of weak answer is that? She has a line of credit. I have a line of credit. You partner up with somebody and you say, I'm not gonna say no to this deal. I'm gonna bring in somebody who can do it for me and position myself in equity on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have a good deal, bring it to me. My whole team will invest. Literally.
Okay.
If it's a
Like,
good deal, it's a good deal.
Like even if I said to my mother, like, listen, can we take a line of credit because she has a house?
Mhm.
That would be a good option also.
Yeah, so you can get a HELOC. I mean.
Yeah, so that's a HELOC. That's actually taking it out of an investment that you own right now. What she's saying though is, and I know this specifically, our loan officer that was out of the office in Wayne, one of our loan officers there, after they did their first investments, was able to give them a line of credit. That's not, it was $1 million line of credit.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it wasn't taken out, it wasn't a HELOC, it wasn't taken out of the house. It was just a line of credit because they trusted that they would be able to do what they were gonna do with it.
Yeah,
Oh,
usually the line
Sounds
of
crazy, right?
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but usually they loan 10 times your liquidity. So if you've got, $20,000 in the bank, they will loan, or maybe it's 5 times. It depends on your credit, whether it's 5 times or 10 times your liquidity, but it's based on your liquidity
Yep.
and history of, flipping homes and investing and et cetera. But again, if you have a good deal, bring it to us.
oh yeah, if you could jot down your 411 in the message. Oh, seriously. Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
no, we're
problem.
always looking. Always.
yeah, you never know.
Something else you just said, though, we're wrapping up, guys. So if you have any questions, just rapid fire, shoot some questions at Megan. I'm just thinking about what I was talking about.
Oh, geez.
Megan, can you, would you mind putting your email in the chat?
Yeah, I'm trying to do, I just pressed enter on it, really dumb.
Oh, thank you so much.
That's my cell too, if you guys have
Thank you.
questions. Yeah, I'm here, happy to answer questions.
Well, I love that you brought up the absentee owner because it's a different type of prospecting that we've been even talking about. And I think in this market, you're going to see that. And it's not an avenue that everybody's doing.
No, I would say with your lead gen, try to find avenues of resources that people are not tapping into. There's a lot of them. Probate, no one calls probates. We call a ton of probates. Like call absentee owners.
So where do you get your probates from? Are you attached to an attorney with that or?
Yeah, it's going to be a contact thing. Also your mortgage lenders, your title companies, try to get other avenues to get lead sources. Like I said, leveraging out your vendors. Right now it's getting leads is hard. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, it's hard. My ISA normally was making about 100 calls a day and she was setting 2 to 3 appointments. She's now making 250 to 300 dials and she's lucky to set 2 to 3 appointments. So we know that it's getting tougher to get the appointment and to get the leads. So you got to get a little more creative on how you get the lead. So just leverage your contacts in other industries because that's going to be key.
Yeah. And as far as some of these ideas that you've heard and you're like, oh, I think I'd be great at that, or I'll go into the multifamily absentee or whatnot. Megan really encouraged me that on Fridays, if I want to start investing and I really want to do it on Fridays, to start spending half a day or 2 hours looking at investment properties, seeing them, going to see them, being in them. So you have to put, even though it did not bring me a deal for, I guess, 6 months of me doing it. But then what happened was I was gaining the confidence so that when my uncle died and the house was available, I pulled the trigger immediately. And as far as the money, you'll always find it. If it's a cash, you'll always find it. So just want to encourage you, you got to put those times aside to actually, do this for yourself. It's not just going to happen.
No, it's numbers. It's a numbers game. It all is. I love numbers. I kind of live and die by them, but it's a numbers game. You talk to enough people, you're going to get some leads. You're going to get enough leads and you're going to get enough under contract. But you got to set aside the time to do those things. You need the time for social media. You need the time for your investment, the time for your property management, time for lead gen. Really set aside those hours. And you'll start to see the fruits of the labor. It'll come.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then
All right.
the biggest thing I think I want you guys to take away is just try to get that workflow down and leverage out or automate as much as you can so that you can get that time back to then be able to put into other businesses and other areas of your business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Anybody have anything they want to ask, say, last minutes?
I just love that you said buyers find their own home, because I have so many buyers right now and I can't keep up with sending them home. So I'm totally automating that from now on. And I'm not going to feel guilty about it. Like, I feel guilty that if they're sending me, I'm like, oh my God, they're going to fire me because I'm not. So I love
expectation. Set
Yeah.
the expectation with them. The other thing, try not to send the listings from the MLS.
Okay.
Brand it back to you. You always want to point your finger back to you. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but like if you're sending it from Garden State MLS, now they're just going to go start searching on Garden State MLS and they're going to see all the listing agents.
Love you. Thank you.
You don't want that. Send them to your website, have them search, all come back to you. And if you do it through command, you'll know exactly what they're looking at.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. And I just said that, right, Maria? We were talking about that the buyer will go find it, like enlist them to go find their own house. I would often tell them, go put yourself on whatever search you want to put yourself on. I don't care. But when you find those properties, send me the address and the MLS number. Once again, like Megan said, so that I could arrange them into the showings. I can call out to the listing agents, find out what's going on. And then we could be in a great position to make an offer if you want to. And then my strength is I'm going to negotiate it and I'm going to get it to closing. It's not about finding the house anymore. And if you don't do that, they will go find the house and then they'll feel like they got to talk to that listing agent. And then you've lost the buyer because you just didn't tell them how it works.
On that note, understand the difference between an A buyer and a not A buyer. An A buyer in this market is willing to go to the moon to get the house. An A buyer not in this market is not willing to do that, which means they're not an A buyer. If you have someone who does not understand the market conditions and is looking for that gut renovated 3-bed, 2-bath for $350,000 that doesn't exist, you got a problem. They're not an A buyer. What you do with those people is you set those expectations. We're only going to look at homes that have been on the market for a minimum of 20 days. We set that expectation up front. I will not show you a home that has not been on the market for a minimum of 20 days because you're a VA buyer who needs to wrap in closing costs. You're not going to win a multiple offer situation. And that is how we've gotten 2 VA loans approved in the last 30 days and closed in this market. We went after the listings that had been on the market for longer than 20 days because they're not an A buyer, they're a B buyer. They're not ready to compete in this market. So know the difference with your buyers as to what's an A buyer in this market and what's not. And set that expectation with them so that, again, you're not chasing after homes that have just been on the market that you know are gonna way overbid what they can afford. So if the budget's 350, you're looking at homes that are 300. Because you know it's gonna go, you know what I mean? Like really work out those expectations with the buyers.
That's right.
To save yourself time.
That's another good point. You got to tell them you got to look lower. You can't look to the 350 if you can only go to 350. We just don't want to disappoint you.
Yeah, setting expectations.
But I also feel like there aren't any homes that are on longer than 20 days. And I'd love to, you know, there are, I can't find them.
There are.
I'll have to keep looking.
The area, it really depends on the area, but they are there and there's quite a few that are coming out of contract. So keep an eye on those too.
Back on market. Mm-hmm.
Tons of them because what's happening, we're seeing, I'm sure you guys are too, people are overbidding and then trying to nickel and dime that price right back down.
Yeah.
So be aware of that. And buyer 2, 3, and 4 in their multiple offers have already bought another home.
They're gone. They're in a new contract.
Yep.
I love that.
Yep.
I love that. And I love you. Thank you so much. Megan Wubbenhorst. And of course they work in, you know, some of our areas are overlapping, but I'm sure they're in the Wayne office and they live out in like the Boonton area. But
Yeah.
I'm sure if Morristown and that west side pocket is something, I'm sure they would take referrals if you need somebody to refer in New Jersey.
Yeah, my husband and I are opening the Kinnelon office. So
Yay.
exciting. So we're gonna have a little, our whole team will be out in Kinnelon. But like I said, we go up further too. So we're here.
Awesome. Love it. All
Thanks.
right. Well, thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Oh, it was great.
This will be posted out for everybody to rewatch it if you need to. Go back to some of the really key points. I took 2 pages of notes here, Meg. I mean, you were fantastic. And I'm so proud of everything that you've done. It's been quick, good ride. And I love Grace. Grace, her assistant, is amazing. She was my roomie, best roomie ever. So they're like family. So, all right, guys, have a awesome day. Go out and implement some of this stuff, some of your workflow, and let's get together on a one-on-one. Let's get going.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.